I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life, my weekly storytelling podcast. Every week I try to band together the past, the present, and look into the future. Find this podcast on every major platform and on my YouTube channel. A new episode every Thursday.
Season 1, Chapter 10, Sports.
I can't remember exactly when I stopped caring about sports, but it was as an adult, not that long ago. Of course, I mean professional sports, team sports mostly, gotta support the team and all that crap. Sports as an activity, as an exercise, terrific. Knock yourself out. Well, not literally. I'm talking about blind devotion to a sports team. A team that even if it becomes a dynasty will disappoint you the other 95% of your life. I'm talking spending $200 on a jersey that you must wear on game night for good luck. 'Cause the team is counting on you to wear the jersey. Hey, you know we lost last week. I know, Bob didn't wear the jersey. Hey, coach, why are we even busting our ass practicing and honing our skills? Our fate depends on Bob wearing the jersey. Hey, you know, Jacques cheers for the other team, and he also wears a jersey. Why even play the game? Screw that. It's the battle of the jerseys. I'm talking fans with a non-athletic game day ritual. Donning the jersey, the cap, the foam finger, placing their non-active fat asses on the couch to watch the game. That's the devotion I'm talking about. Hey, I get that a lot of fans don't really believe that their wardrobe makes a difference, but many do. I've never been that guy. Oh, I did watch sports, gathered with friends at the local to watch the game. I enjoyed myself. I've been to live sporting events. My son and I were at Game 6 when Joe Carter hit the home run to win the World Series. A wonderful memory. Eventually, it dawned on me that I didn't really give a crap about the sports. It was about the people, the event, the social. I'm sure it's like that for a lot of people. But I realized there were probably better reasons for people to get together than sports. In Canada, we're hockey mad. In the U.S., it's the gridiron, football. Most of the rest of the world, it's soccer. Add to that, cricket. I think soccer and cricket are 1-2 worldwide most popular. There's also basketball, baseball, field hockey, rugby, Aussie rules football, and hey, if you've never heard of kabaddi, it's worth a Google. Start with the stadium bleacher collapse in India, and then you can learn more about the game. Basically, it was a playground activity that turned into a major sport. 2 teams on a court. One player has to touch as many players on the other side of the court for points. While yelling the word kabaddi, he is allowed to take only one breath while in opposition territory. And yelling kabaddi repeatedly is evidence to the ref that he is only using one breath. Well, there's more, but that's the basics. Sound crazy? You know, I watched a tutorial, and I thought the game was a little ridiculous, but then I thought, gee, if I had to explain hockey or baseball or football to someone who didn't understand it, it would sound equally stupid. What else do we have? Well, golf, tennis, curling, bowling, of course the Olympics, summer and winter, which includes almost every other activity we participate in worldwide, be it a sport, a game, or a discipline. Olympics is everything from archery to weightlifting and more. The Olympics feature a lot of competitions that actually reflect necessary skills of day-to-day life, like throwing a discus, pole vaulting, or jumping a horse over a fence. Well, you start adding it all up, boy, there's a lot of sports in the world. The Olympics are the so-called amateur sports. and they are a bigger marketing scam than any professional league. The Olympics are run by the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, who seem to do nothing else but award the Olympics. All right, who wants to host the Olympics? We're taking bids. Well, hey, we might. What's the deal? You come in and build all the stadiums and facilities? No, we don't do that. Well, you bring all the athletes. No, not really. We don't do that. But we get to sell the media rights and collect all the money. No, we get the money. So what do you do? We let you host the Olympics. So we go billions into debt. You walk away with the cash. That's correct. We're the IOC. While you're out there Googling, look up white elephant and abandoned Olympic facilities. You know, cities talk about churning up their economy, hosting the Olympics. But after the closing ceremonies, they're drowning in debt, begging regional and federal governments for bailout money, which, by the way, are our tax dollars, our money, so that people can have a place to throw a shot put or dance with ribbons on a gym mat. Some cities talk about legacy projects. You know, we'll build it for the Olympics, but then we'll have it forever. Never seems to work. Hey, we're going to have a velodrome forever. All the kids seem to love the velodrome. We don't know how to build shelter for the homeless, but hey, look, a velodrome. It's a big building where people sit and watch other people on bicycles riding around a wooden track. Sports. The city of Calgary brags about having a luge track. It's a legacy project. We'll have the luge track forever. Yeah, for what? Well, for the next time that we need a luge track. They postponed the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games because of COVID, and they're going ahead for 2021. Even though most people in Japan don't want them. It's still COVID. We don't want to die. Yeah, people will die, but hey, there's badminton. You know, world-class badminton. Don't make me swat your shuttlecock. I've had this genius, more practical idea for the Olympics for years. And last year, I actually heard an expert panel discuss it seriously. As a city or area, whatever, you don't bid on the entire games. Instead, you bid on an event, maybe 2 or 3. The Olympics would take place in like 50 cities worldwide, all at the same time, and all covered by local media, and there'd be one Olympic channel and or an app where you could find everything. It's genius. Granted, some cities would only want to host the high-profile stuff like track and field, but you work it out. All right, you can host track and field, but you also have to host fencing. You're hosting table tennis, but play your cards right, and next time you'll get synchronized swimming. Well, you know, there's a few kinks to work out, but it's a much better idea than one place hosting everything and going into tremendous debt to do so. Why, there's enough debt to fill 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. In Canada, our national broadcaster, the CBC, years ago spent gazillions of Canadian dollars to get the Canadian media rights for the Tokyo Games. Sports. In media, sports often gets thrown in with the news division. So currently on the CBC News channel, they will spend like a minute reporting on the concerns of Japanese citizens hosting the World for Games during a pandemic, and then 10 minutes interviewing an athlete whose dream is gold in judo. It's a huge conflict of interest. But if their news division was a real news division, they'd tell you not to watch sports. They'd tell you to cancel the games. But if they do, no one watches sports. They lose a lot of money and have to let go most of the news division. You know, when you watch CBC News, sometimes they're hard-pressed to even have a reporter in place to cover a story. But when you watch Hockey Night in Canada which I realize is no longer a CBC property. They just lease out the name. But stuff like this happens. Just happened recently. Hockey night went on at 8 o'clock. National anthem and game time 10 minutes later. In that 10-minute period, there were 9 different people giving me different insights and angles on the game. Elliotts. So when they... What did I just say, Elliotts? I meant idiots. Where did Elliotts come from? I don't know. All right, whatever. But it just shows you the difference in priority between news and sports. Sports. I should give a nod to motorsports. If it's got a motor, let's race it. Car, truck, 18-wheeler, swamp buggy, lawnmower. Let's race. Doesn't even have to have wheels. My boat is faster than your boat. As I said earlier, I don't remember exactly when it all seemed ridiculous to me. Just one day it did. I realized that this entire time I was only pretending to enjoy sports. Because that's what it meant to be a man. You have to enjoy sports. What brought that on? I'm not sure. I think a bit of it was the privileged, high-priced athlete. Boy, they get boring fast. And listen, pay athletes fairly. Pay them well. And if we are going to hold them up as idols, then let them cash in on the endorsements. Why not? Get a shoe deal. Listen, I don't mind taking medical advice right now from Shaquille O'Neal. You don't have to go back that far to find a time when professional athletes were exploited by the owners. Many of them had to get part-time jobs in the off-season, kind of like the CFL players today. I'm a professional Winnipeg Blue Bomber, but can I interest you in some Amway products? You know, they're not just the employees, they are the product. Pay them. But it's so out of control now, isn't it? So out of whack. Roughly speaking, in the major leagues, the lowest paid professional athlete, league minimum journeyman, never heard of you, makes 10 times the yearly salary of a working stiff. Then there's the superstars. Sorry, can't afford any more good players. We gave it all to that guy. I know we still lost. What are you going to do? It's sports. Most fans can't even afford to go to a game. It always makes me wonder about those who can, especially during the playoffs. People overpay for tickets by thousands of dollars. When I see 2 face-painted devotees in the stands, I always think, I bet the money you spent on those 2 tickets could potentially feed a family of 4 for a year. But, you got to support the team. And there I go again, comparing needs of life to the cost of sports. Well, I'll tell you why. When I was a kid, I couldn't go out and play until I finished my homework. I believe in that rule. As a society, we're nowhere near finishing our homework. Yet we play and play and play and play. Last year, a relief pitcher for the Nationals, Sean Doolittle, put it more succinctly. He said sports is our reward for a functioning society.
We haven't done any of the things that other countries have done to bring sports back. Sports are like the reward of a functioning society, and we're just like trying to just bring it back.
Sports is our reward for a functioning society. Guess what? Look around. We're not functioning. Yet we do our best to continue sports, even in the face of death. I don't buy the economic argument. It's an industry. It provides jobs. Yeah, well, a lot of things do. Really, though, the pandemic exposed a lot of things to be non-essential. Like we needed grocery stores, we didn't need a cupcake bakery. Cupcakes are the reward of a functioning society. High-paid professional athletes and high-end leagues are the cupcakes of team sports. These athletes make so much money What could possibly be their motivation for winning? Oh, I get it, yeah, a lot of them, they're very competitive. They allegedly hate losing. But at the end of a losing season, how does their life change? They're still on a luxurious golf course at an exclusive posh resort. Speaking of golf and tennis get it right. If you don't do well, you don't get as much money. Those are, of course, individual pursuits, which are much different from team sports. What ruined it all for me? I don't know, maybe it was O.J. He murdered 2 people. Didn't run them over with a car. Didn't shoot them from a distance. Oh no! Knifed them to death up close in cold blood. Do you realize how much more personally brutal that is? Not guilty. Trial of the century. When was that, by the way? Oh, let's see, 1995. Yeah, 20th century. Any other big trials, 20th century? Well, Nuremberg. Yeah, no, but I guess O.J., yeah, trial of the century. And then, people couldn't wait to pose for pictures with the Juice. He's from sports. Maybe it was O.J., maybe it was all those other professional athletes that followed, who beat their girlfriends or drove drunk, who cheated with steroids, or that other group of athletes who died or became shells of their former selves from debilitating brain injuries. Some of them left their brains to science. And science said, this is bad. This is science saying this is bad. And sports said to science, well, that's sports. These brain injuries that professional sports leagues first ignored, then denied, and then reluctantly admitted to, but did little or nothing to stop it. Instead of fixing the low doorway, they just put a sign up that said, watch your head. Nice job, sports. So let's just do a sports recap here. We have disproportionate distribution of salary and monies. We have an industry that increasingly caters to the wealthy and elite. We have the risk of injury and death for a game that means nothing. The unscrupulous marketing of team sports, devotion, and product, including to children. Oh, and I didn't mention the completely skewed system of college sports and the complete and blatant sexism and prejudice toward female athletes. That's your sports. I have this theory that if you had a Men in Black neuralizer and you could just flash out the memory of professional sports, not the games like baseball or hockey, just pro sports, the teams, the stadiums, the leagues, et al. Let's say we all agreed that we should do that, and zap, it's all gone. My theory is that professional sports would be back in a year, 2 tops. Competition, greed, human nature, it would bring it all back. We'd all be enjoying our sporting activities, the exercise, the companionship, and then someone would say, boy, you should see Manu hit the ball there. He can hit it over the fence every time. And then people would show up and go, hey, Manu, hit the ball. And Manu would go, hey, I'm spending all day hitting the ball. I can't even do my job. Why don't you give me $1 or $2 each? And then Dave would say, I can hit the ball further than Manu. Give me $2. And then Dave and Manu would bet each other. And somebody would take a side bet on that. People would then show up with lawn chairs and watch. Someone would start selling hot dogs, beer, and Coca-Colas. And then somebody eventually would build some bleachers and then maybe a grandstand and put a roof on it. And Dave and Manu would get more money. And, well, there's professional sports. It's back. Yeah, you can't get rid of it. But don't you think it's time to take a step back and reassess the value of it? All of it. Our devotion, our dollars, our time spent based on what you actually get in return. It's a distraction. It's entertainment. Distraction and entertainment should be harmless. This is not. During the pandemic, we started to hear this phrase, build back better. I believe in that. Unfortunately, the phrase has been commandeered by politicians and used as a slogan or even an excuse, and the whole idea has been compromised by them. But build back better. Yeah. People will tell you they can't wait to get back to normal. What's normal? Maybe for you it was fine. But normal is a world economic system that actually doesn't work for at least 2/3 of the people. We can do better, but we've got a lot of work to do before we go out and play.
Later That Same Life is a weekly podcast series written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37 at gmail.com.